It is good to see everybody. I apologize, I don't have much of a voice right now. Between the halfway point of football here since training camp and a head cold from an airplane, I'm struggling here a little bit. The first thing obviously we'll address is the Yates suspension, and I'll address it, but I'm not going to take questions on it. Obviously, you know, the penalty in the Buffalo game, even though it wasn't officiated by a Mountain West Conference officiating crew, the home office evaluates all Mountain West games. He was flagged for unnecessary roughness in the Buffalo game on a 2-point conversion. The officials in that game said it was late. I just, you know, I don't think they liked the look of it, and you know, I didn't really argue the flag other than, you know, it took a little while for them to figure out what it was that they saw. When we arrived back home Saturday night, I was notified by the league office that the play was under review. On Sunday, we were notified that the league office was going to take action. That because of they felt it was the infraction had fallen under the targeting guidelines, and it had been reviewed by multiple people, that Rakeem was going to have to sit out for the first half of the UNLV game. And then because he had been on essentially probation with the league office, that this infraction violated his probation, therefore the suspension would go for the entire game. We had an opportunity to present an appeal. We did that. We appreciate the Mountain West allowing us that opportunity. There was a debate, but in the end, the appeal was denied, and so Rakeem has got the 1-game suspension now. I don't necessarily, we don't always see things the same way, but I respect the decision of the league, have no issue with it. We went through the process. It essentially is what it is, and we'll move forward. In terms of Rakeem, he is a collegiate student athlete. He's not a professional athlete. I'm not going to publicly berate the young man. He's made mistakes in his career. As all young people make mistakes, and as young people learn, when you make mistakes, there's a price to pay. And once you pay that price, we move forward from it and hopefully grow and learn from the situation. Rakeem is one of ours. We're disappointed in this situation. We're disappointed for him that a senior doesn't get to play in this game, but we love him nonetheless, and we will continue to support him to the best of our ability. As is the case, if a player were to go down with an injury, he's unavailable for the game, next man up, and we can't look back. We got to move forward and get ready to go. So those are my thoughts on his situation, and I hope you can respect the fact that I've said enough and really are not going to address it any further. We're very excited. Rivalry game, obviously, Mountain West Conference opener. Hopeful that we'll have a sellout. Sounds like we're headed in that direction. You know, I'd be disappointed if we don't. I really am, like I said, hopeful that we'll have a full house and a very energetic and enthusiastic crowd. I would like to take this one opportunity to say I want our fans to be as loud as possible. I want them to be, I hope that they will be a part of the game. I want them to cheer loudly, but I really hope that we can keep it classy, that we can cheer for our team as opposed to attacking the other, and frankly that we can leave the profanity at home in the chants and all that stuff. We don't need it. There's not a place for it, and I'm hopeful that, you know, we won't hear any of the goofball stuff. With that said, UNLV is much improved. There was a lot of prognostication at the beginning of the year that, boy, where are they even going to find 2 wins? When you look at the film, that's not what you see. You see a team that lost by 1 score at Northern Illinois, who's one of the winningest teams in college football over the last decade. And frankly, there were some first-game mistakes that were made in that ball game that had it been played in week 2, 3, or 4, it might have been a little bit different. You saw them, fight their tails off against Michigan and UCLA, and then obviously a very lopsided score this past weekend, which no matter how you arrive at the number 80 or who you arrive at the number 80 against, it gets your attention. I expect this is going to be a challenge. I expect that this is going to be a 4-quarter game, and that we have our hands full, and I think our fans should be thinking that way as well. I was asked in the summertime about the hiring of Coach Sanchez and is it going to work and all that stuff. Coach Sanchez is a very good football coach. He's a good guy. And I think immediately everybody who was watching as he pieced together his staff said, okay, they're going to be just fine, because he brought in some really good veteran college football coaches, and whatever catching up he had to do in terms of how things work in college football as compared to high school, he surrounded himself with people that were going to be able to help him to do that. I'm impressed with what they've done. Rebel offense is coordinated by Barney Cotton, who had been at Nebraska last and has been at a bunch of good places. They're multiple. They run a ton of stuff. There's no way we're going to be able to rep everything that they do, similar to Buffalo in that way. The only difference is UNLV's quarterback is a running threat. Both of them are. Whereas the UB quarterback, they ran a ton of offense, but we didn't have to count for the UB quarterback as a runner. We have to do that against UNLV. They are dedicated to running the ball. There's no doubt about it, although they're going to do it from varied looks and personnel groups and formations and motions. They're going to make you defend the whole field from sideline to sideline. They're not afraid to throw screens. They're not afraid to hand it to a fast guy on a fly sweep. They're going to make you defend the whole field. Personnel-wise, I really like the center, Kreitler. I think he's a very good football player. He's a little bit undersized. He looks like Goldtree, 6 foot, 290-pounder, but he directs traffic. He's very, you can tell he's in charge, and I think he's a pretty good football player. Obviously, Devontae Boyd, everybody knows. He's awfully talented, one of the best wide receivers in the entire league. We're going to have to account for him, and there's no doubt in my mind that when things get a little bit hairy, Decker's looking for Boyd. Blake Decker, the quarterback, is much improved from where he was last year. I don't remember him being as good a runner, but I think he was a little bit banged up when we saw him at the end of the year. He is making plays with his feet. He's not afraid to throw the ball into tight windows. 5 touchdowns, 3 INTs, I think, at this point. But I think he's playing well. And then Whiteley, the running back, 5'9", 195 junior, I think is a very good player. And, offensively, they have good personnel. They have good coaches, and they're running good schemes right now. And, for us, we can't practice it all. So it's going to be about fundamentals. It's going to be about block destruction, trusting our eyes, making sure our eyes are in the right place, and just doing our jobs to the best of our ability. On defense, the coordinator's Kent Bear. I know Kent a little bit. We've never worked together, but I followed his staff with Ty Willingham, left Notre Dame. We came in behind them, got to know him a little bit in recruiting. He's been at a number of big-time places, has coached a lot of ball. He's a good football coach, and he's got them playing well on defense. They play very hard. That's the first thing that sticks out to you. They're physical. They run around. Not a lot of glaring mistakes. Varied looks. They're going to stem in and out of a 3-man front and a 4-man front, using Finau as kind of the hybrid guy, sometimes a defensive end, sometimes a linebacker. They're going to pack the box. The safeties are going to be low. I have no doubt that as we continue to be true to our identity and run the ball, that they're going that they're going to have those safeties down low. Personnel-wise, Mike Hughes is as good a defensive tackle as there is in the Mountain West. I think he's playing really well right now. 6'2", 300-pound sophomore. Finau, the number 19, the hybrid, little bit of a defensive end, little bit of a linebacker. Lotulelei, 55, linebacker, is a very good player, and Vea, and if I said his name wrong, I apologize, but 42, the safety. So they have good personnel. Special teams-wise, they do a lot of stuff. They had a long kickoff return last week against Idaho State. They had a block punt. They have our attention in all three phases of the game, and we got our work cut out for us. So with that said, I'll take any questions. It can't be that easy.
I mean, you guys want to be 1-0 at the end of every week, but what does this game mean to you, and did you get a different appreciation for it after the 2013 game?
Yeah, I got a different appreciation for how much it means to the community, because that's what kept coming up in conversations, and I respect that and appreciate it. The thought that, boy, you're going to prepare harder for this game, I think that's a little bit disingenuous. We prepare as coaches and players really, really hard for every game that we play. This game's meaningful. It's meaningful to the community. It's certainly meaningful on campus. It's meaningful to our players. Rivalry games are important in college football. It's what makes college football fun. But we're not going to practice 3 hours longer because it's UNLV. We're going to stick to our plan, do what we do. And the game's not going to be won by the team that can hoot and holler the most in pregame warm-up. It's going to be won by the team that makes the plays and doesn't self-inflict wounds with penalties and mistakes. So it's meaningful. I have to walk that fine line of making sure that they understand that it's meaningful and that it's different. But at the same time, we are who we are. We have a routine, a plan, and we're going to stick with it.
You said after the 2013 game that you maybe got them too hyped about it. Is
Yeah.
it hard to, have them respect, what the rivalry is, but not go overboard and have them play a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern. It's a fine line, and it's something that I talked to the staff about Sunday night. Was I'm not going to beat everybody over the head with it, but I stole a page from Coach Alt, and on Monday's practice, I explained the history of the Cannon, the history of the two schools, so that the newcomers in the program had an understanding of the history. We talked a little bit about it today, but I don't want to beat anybody over the head with it because I want to make sure that we are under control, that we are not bouncing off the walls, and that we just play to the best of our ability.
You said offensively they're pretty multiple, but do they want to establish the run? Is that what the strength of this team is in the trenches?
I believe so. I believe, statistically bears it out, and I think as you watch film, you get the sense that, they want to run the ball in order to set up the passing game. I don't get the sense, I might be wrong, I don't get the sense that they're interested in throwing it 50 times a game. And the stats have bared that out so far as well.
Where do you see them being most improved on both sides of the ball, I guess?
I think they're less just absolute breakdowns where somebody's, a blitzer comes just scot-free, or you run a route and somebody's just running down the field wide open. There's more energy. They have a couple guys on the sideline. I don't know if they're GAs or strength guys or who they are, but they spend the entire game jumping up and down, chest bumping, waving towels. Their sideline is alive, and you see the energy, a renewed energy. And I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be disrespectful of the old regime. I've always maintained publicly and truly, I love Bobby Houck. I think he's one of the great human beings in our business. But sometimes a change is needed, and you can see the effects of some of the changes.
This is was also the conference opener for you guys.
Yes.
What do you think about the West Division and kind of how the conference is done in non-conference play?
I think the West Division is better than people are thinking it is. I mean, Hawaii beats Colorado. Hawaii plays a very competitive game against the #1 team in the country. I think Hawaii is undervalued. I think San Jose State is undervalued just because there's not a bell cow on our side right now that everybody can point to. And I think in a sense on the other side, now with Chucky Keaton's injury and Utah State struggling a little bit at the beginning, you know, everybody's just kind of saying, well, you know, it's Boise, and it's a collection of, you know, who's the best of the mediocre on the other side. But I don't believe that. I think that San Jose, UNLV, Hawaii are all being a little bit undervalued right now on our side of the conference.
It's pretty rare, but you could legitimately say all 6 teams in the West could win this thing. It doesn't seem like there's any favorite or bad team, I guess.
No, I think Fresno State has suffered the most adversity so far with injuries and things like that, but even then, by their style of play and how tough and resilient their guys are, which they showed last year, I don't even think you can count them out either. But I mean, they clearly have suffered the most adversity to this point of the season than anybody else has. But yeah, I think everybody on this side has got a fair shot at it, and that includes UNLV.
Is it hard to get anything off of film when a team hangs 80 on another team? I mean, outside of the fact they scored a lot.
Yeah. UNLV had a bunch of short fields due to turnovers. I think Idaho State turned it over 6 or 7 times. There's not a lot defensively that we can take away in the sense that Idaho State's scheme is completely different from ours. So you can look at production and you can look at plays that UNLV made, but how they're blocking and handling stuff really doesn't translate. Excuse me. The game that you know, we've really studied all 4 games, but, you know, once you get to about halftime, as we would do in any game that is completely lopsided, once it really gets out of hand, the play calling becomes different, the personnel becomes different, so you can't include the second half of that in your breakdown. You got to really study the first half and take it from there.
Looking like it could be a sellout at Mackay. I mean, you know, what does it mean to have that kind of intense atmosphere at a home game?
I think it's great, and and if we do in fact end up with a sellout, then we're thankful to the community, and a special thank you to the students. The way that they lined up yesterday in the morning was so cool. It was so cool, and the coaches got to the office at about 5:30, and before we walked inside, we took a walk around outside and just said hello to the people that were still awake or were just waking up, and it was really neat, and we appreciate the student body support. And if we do in fact sell out, which is my hope, we're appreciative to the community for the support. And not only do we want to sell out, we want them to be really loud when UNLV's on offense. We want to make it a home field advantage. We want to make it difficult for the opponent to communicate. We want them to cheer loud and enthusiastically. And hopefully we will do our part and give them a lot to cheer about. But again, it's worth mentioning again, we can save the profanity, we can save that stuff. We don't need it. It's not a good look. And I hope that the young people that usually get involved in that can understand our point of view. It's not a good look. We can cheer and you can say whatever you want, but let's try and keep it PG-13 rated. So.
Probably had more penalties this year than you would like. I guess what's been the root of that, and how do you get those numbers down?
That's difficult because I don't want to be – obviously penalties are upsetting. But I don't think we've had a ton of false starts or offsides. Those are concentration penalties. A couple of them shouldn't have been called. I'm pretty positive of that. And that's been affirmed. You know, Some of them are aggressive penalties that I don't want to coach the aggression out of guys. I just want to clean up the technique so it doesn't happen. 9 for 95 this past weekend. That's not good. 4 of them were in the kicking game. That's inexcusable. We got to stop that. And they negated 2 really good punt return or kickoff returns. Got negated because of holding penalties where we're on the right guy, we're locked up, and we just stop moving our feet and grab a little bit of cloth. We got to get that stuff cleaned up, and that's a point of emphasis. My other concern is that we have been penalized a lot in this game, in particular the last 2 years. And we've got to keep our cool. We've got to be disciplined and not get involved in any of the nonsense that comes along with a rivalry game. We just got to go play football, one play at a time, and keep our poise.
Who replaces Yates in the starting lineup? And I guess what do you need from whoever that is, or the 2 people who are going to share that role?
We'll do it by committee. I mean, Corey Rush will see increased reps. Kevin McReynolds will see increased reps. Kalei Meyer will see increased reps. We'll do it by committee.
How much do you look forward to a game like this? You know, probably a sellout playing your rival.
It's a good environment. 2 steps better than the whiteout. You know, it's a rivalry game. Be a great win for Northern Nevada, and we're just playing for legacy of the university. Guys before us, you know, it means a lot to them, and we're looking to go out and play good football.
What do you notice on film when you watch their offense? What did they do well?
They'll throw a lot at you. Coach Polian touched on it. We can't practice everything. It's a matter of the older guys, the younger guys going in and getting extra film work. When you're not in class, try to go over to the film room and, you know, study some of their plays, study some of their formations. Don't go back to the dorm room or go back home and, you know, just chill. Put in the extra time to where we can prepare ourselves to, you know, have a good frame of mind on what to expect. And if we do get something that we haven't practiced, we haven't seen it on film.
Is there a different feel actually in this game when you're on the field? I mean, with the rivalry, or does it feel like every other game?
Every other game. You got to go out and execute.
First conference game of the season. Is there a team to beat in the West Division right now?
Everyone, and we're going to take it one game at a time. Our job this week is to go out, play smart football, execute, be 1-0 at the end of the week.
With it being the Mountain West opener, I mean, obviously UNLV is always a big game, but I mean, does it add something, like having it be the first game of the Mountain West? I know you guys want to get off to a good start.
Definitely. Going back to last week, that win helped kickstart our streak. We're going to start. Wanted to go 1-0 last week. We achieved that, so we're just going to keep the ball rolling, going into league, and you know, just be 1-0 at the end of the week.
It's looking like a big crowd, possibly a sellout. I mean, what's it like to play in front of that type of atmosphere at Mackay?
It's wonderful. You get a good fan base out there, and you know, once the whistle blows, you're focused on the 11 in front of you and making plays and executing what you have to do.
How bad do you want to keep the Cannon blue?
Very bad. Very bad. It's for our team, for this town, for the people that put blood, sweat, and tears in it before us, and we're looking to go out and play a great football game.
What is your first memory of this game? I mean, was it before you got here, or?
Oh, it's definitely way before I got here. I don't know how many I came to when I was younger. I don't know. I know my parents brought me here. I'd go with friends, come to these games, and it's just something. It's that time of year, you know. It's all right. Now it's time to go to this game. It's you're always asking elementary school, middle school. Oh, are you going to the UNR UNLV game? You can go watch Cannon, all that. It's just it's something that was talked about, and it was something that you did. It was just wasn't really a question if you were going. It's just you knew you were going. It's just a matter of who you were going with, how you were getting there, and just enjoying a good time.
What was it like to play in it last year?
It was crazy. I sat myself in the locker room at one point, and I just kind of sat back and thought, I've watched these games multiple times, and it's different now. I'm on the other side of it, and it's like, yeah, I've always saw that I wanted the Cannon there. And now I'm playing for the Cannon. It was really kind of took me back for a minute, and it was really something special. And I knew that it was time to go. It was time to get after them, and just knowing how much the Cannon means to the community, just because I was on the community end of it for a while, and now it's my turn. And you got to do it for this team, and do it for the community, and just kind of I know how much it really represents for the community, and it just kind of means that much more to me.
I mean, a lot of your teammates are from other states, California, things like that. I mean, do you talk to them about what this means to the community, or do you think they already have a pretty good grasp of that?
I think most of them have a pretty good grasp, but the younger guys are they kind of think they know, but they really don't know. And so I'll try to talk to the younger guys, and I get emotional sometimes talking to them. Like, they can hear it in my voice, and they know that there's just something a little different about this game, but it is just another game, and that's how we're going to treat it. We're going to approach it the exact same way, and we're going to get after them like we would anyone else.
With it being the Mountain West opener, I mean, does that add something to it, trying to get off to a good start in conference?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't want to start conference play down in the dumps, but we're going to come out here we got 4 games under our belt, and we played pretty good, and we can keep improving from there. And this team we're about to play, they're pretty good. All that preseason stuff was said, and we're better than what all that preseason stuff said. And we're going to come out here and treat them as just another opponent, and we're going to prepare for them the best we can, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get off to a great start in conference play.
After the experience last year of taking the cannon back, painting it blue, I mean, how bad do you want to keep that cannon?
I mean, painting it was something, but why not just repaint it? There's no reason to paint over some other color. We'll keep it blue. That's our goal. Everyone's going to do that, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure it stays home with us.
Could be a sellout potentially at Mackay Stadium. I mean, what's it like to play in front of that atmosphere?
Oh, and when Mackay sells out, it's not quite 102,000, but they're still getting pretty loud, and they know when to cheer and when to be quiet for the offense and stuff like that, and they're ready to go. This game it means a whole lot to them, and they come out for this one. We do what we can do. They're going to keep coming out and making those games more challenging for visitors coming to play us here, and we just want to create an atmosphere that's just something that's an experience for people to come and come and enjoy it and watch a great game and know that Wolfpack's going to do what they have to do the whole time to make sure that Cannon is staying here with us.
What does their defense do well?
Their defense is pretty good. They got a lot of different looks, and so it's going to be hard to be able to see all those looks during practice. So we're going to have to get in the film room and be able to see all those looks, and they'll change up the pressures, and they'll bring different looks and out of different defensive fronts. They'll go 4 down, 3 down, and they'll change it up pretty often. And so we're just gonna have to be on top of it all. And they're a good team. They got some dudes on their team, and so we're gonna have to come out and just rely on our basic footwork, basic techniques, and just be able to be ready for anything they throw. It's a rivalry game. People are gonna put in stuff that they haven't put on film yet, so we got to be aware, have our eyes open, and see everything so we can adjust and just play football.
You guys ran the ball pretty well last week. I mean, do you feel like that was the best you've run the ball? And I guess what was the key to some of those big runs?
Yeah, we ran the ball better last game than we have all year. Coaches kept telling us strain for that extra second, extra step, just to make sure those running backs can break free like we will. And they emphasized that all week practice last week, and that's what happened. They were right. Running backs broke free, and same thing. They're still harping on us, like, stay low, keep your feet moving, stay on that extra second, extra step, extra 2 steps. We got good running backs. They're going to do it, and we just got to give them the holes to do it.
Doing something on Tyler Stewart, I guess. What have you seen from him in the first month of the season?
He's grown a lot. He's not afraid to take a hit, and he'll stay in that pocket, and he'll be there. He's trusting us. He's grown a lot. He's grown into a leader. He's really impressed me in these first couple of games, and he's trusted us, and knowing that we have a quarterback back there that trusts us, it kind of gives us some confidence to play, and we're going to do it for him. He trusts us, so we got to get out there and make sure that we keep the hips off the quarterback. We got to keep grind for him, because we know he's working his tail off back there, so we got to push the front and just keep people off of him, because he's really impressed me these last couple of weeks.
It seems like he's kind of changed in his demeanor since he was named the starter, and felt like that was his job. I guess, how has he changed to you since he's been named the starter and kind of taken that role?
I feel like he's definitely come along more as a leader. He's the quarterback of the offense, and he's he's taking that role. He's trying to control everything that he can. He's trying to see the whole field at all times, and he'll come in, he'll watch film with the offensive line and get on the same page with us with certain blitzes and certain stunts and stuff. And when he comes in to talk with us and show that he's willing to understand what we're doing, well, that opens up the book more, just because with him being back there knowing what we're going to do each play, he's able to see more. Now he can slow the game down more because he knows what's happening. That just gives him more confidence.
What does this game mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. Just having the feeling of losing the Cannon and knowing like what it meant to the team, the community, and how everybody was let down. It means a lot for us as players. It's a rivalry game. Me personally, it's just another step to get to the Mountain West Championship. But I mean, the game is definitely bigger than any other one on the schedule.
I mean, you mentioned the Mountain West. Do you feel like you guys are the team to beat, or is there a team to beat in the West as you guys jump into conference play?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, who won last? Fresno won it last year. So I guess Fresno's a team to beat in the West. And but right now we got UNLV, so that's the plan is to be 1-0 at the end of the week. So that's what we got to do.
With it being the Mountain West opener, I mean, obviously UNLV is always a big game, but how bad do you want to get off to that quick start in conference play?
Yeah, we definitely want to identify ourselves within the first couple weeks of conference play, and just happen to be UNLV, happen to be a rivalry, happen to be the biggest game of the year for us, but and it being at home, so it's a pretty big deal. But what I'm saying, we got to establish ourselves as the defense that we want to establish ourselves as, and the dominant run game and offense that we want to be.
Could be a sellout at Mackay. I mean, when you're on defense playing in that type of atmosphere and when it's loud like that, I mean, what's that like for you?
It's a little extra juice, extra pump, extra adrenaline. I mean, when it gets loud, that affects the other team, so it just helps us out on defense a little bit more. When those big third downs happen, go make that play. Just feel a little better when you got 35,000 screaming instead of 22.
What does UNLV do well on offense?
They ran the ball well last week. They ran the ball real well last week. I think they're feeling themselves right now. But yeah, they got a lot of different run plays, different styles, different formations they like to run out of. So I say they run the ball pretty well, but that's one of our goals: stop the run.
You guys have added an additional turnover created every game this season. Why have you guys been better in creating turnovers and mistakes for the other team?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You guys have added a turnover created every game, 0 in the first game, 1, 2, and then 3 last week. Why have you guys been doing a better job of creating turnovers?
I think guys are getting more comfortable, getting a feel for it, feel for the game. We're playing a little bit more loose. If you look at the two teams, Arizona and Texas A&M, they're a little bit more careful with the ball. They're more experienced. But, I mean, that's our goal. And when we practice, we take it to practice and then we show it in the game. That's always good. Brings smiles to the coaches' faces. But like I said, 3 a game is our goal. And we got 3 last game and hoping to get 3 or more this game. But I think it's just guys getting more comfortable in the system and knowing what they're doing.
You said after the UNLV game last year that you kind of felt like you were playing for Keene because he wasn't there. I guess, do you feel like you're playing for him in this game as well because he has to miss this one?
Definitely. And gonna make some big plays for him too. And be celebrating like he was there.
When did you realize how important this game was to the community and the school?
When I first got here, about 4 years ago, 2012. I missed that whole fall camp. I missed the season, but just the emotions and how much it was talked about showed me how much this game and the Cannon meant to the community and the school.
feel different when you're playing in this game, or is it just like any other game on the field?
I want to say, I don't want to say it's the same. It's it's another game, but it's more meaning in this game. I'd say this one's more meaningful.
Is there more smack talk, or guys talking on the field, or?
Well, me and the defense or DBs don't really talk trash to each other. Well, I haven't encountered that this year. Last year, they didn't really say that much either. They just played the game, so I don't know. I don't really initiate trash talking. I just play.
As you guys head into conference play, I guess, how do you feel about where the offense is right now?
I feel the offense is getting better, improving every week. I feel like every game is a learning you can learn from, and I feel like we're just going to continue to get better and do better every week.
What have you thought about Tyler so far, and I guess what has he shown you in his first month as your guys' starter?
I feel like Tyler's playing well. He's developed. He's maturing, and he's in the coach's office a lot. So I trust him. I feel like he's getting better every week.
How are you feeling with your ankle?
I feel fine. I feel great.
It seems like you and Hassan have, been pretty productive, but you're kind of searching for a third wide receiver. I mean, do you feel like you guys need somebody to step up in that third spot to kind of take the offense to another level?
I feel we all need to step up. I don't want to just throw one guy out there or anything. I feel as a unit or as a receiving corps, we all need to step up and play better and make big plays.
Getting the chance last year to win the Cannon back, paint it blue, I mean, how bad do you want to keep that Cannon here?
We'll keep it here forever. I know how much it means to everyone. I know how it needs to stay blue, so I feel like it deserves to be here.
With this also being the Mountain West opener for both teams, I mean, how important is it for you guys to get a win in your first game?
It's very important. Like Lenny said, we need to find ourselves. It's a new season. It's 0-0, and we would like to be 1-0 at the end of the week. So we got to find ourselves and just go from there. Continue to get better.